Morning, everyone. It's Mayor Chris Jensen coming to you. I'm downtown Indianapolis. I'm going to tell you about why I'm down here in a few minutes. But welcome to another edition of our monthly Mental Health Monday program. I am joined yet again by a true hero in her own right, Kristen Boice, the owner of Pathways to Healing Counseling. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning, Mayor Jensen. It's good to see you today.
It's great to see you too. And, we are so excited to have this conversation. It's just you and I today, kind of back to kind of our roots, if you will. This started, hard to believe, 6 years ago. This conversation has started between you and I, and we're going to continue it into the future to talk about mental health in our community. But May is Mental Health Awareness Month across the country. So it's just you and I today, and we're going to get back to some basics on mental health. And I'm so excited because you and I deal with this a lot and talk about it a lot. But I know there's a lot of folks that chime in for the first time, and maybe they're coming to light in their own journey around mental health, or maybe have been exposed with it. We know May is a tough time for a lot of people. We call it Maycember in our house because it's just the end of the year with teacher gifts and graduation and all sorts of things layered on. So we're going to get back to kind of talking about some basics around mental health today. But I am downtown with a different background today because I was attending this morning the meeting of the Indiana Mental Health Roundtable. I was recently appointed to that by the state to serve in on that roundtable, and I'm excited to continue to talk with you, Kristen, about the work that we're doing on a statewide level, which I would like to think that we are all a part of that, to build that groundswell, to identify where support is needed, where policies need to be changed, where funding can be directed. All those things are happening. So that is why I have a little bit of a different background this morning, Kristen. I'm sorry to throw you off.
I love it. I love that we're talking about mental health statewide because it's necessary, important, and vital
It
to
is.
communities.
It is, and I'm proud of the work that we've done in Noblesville around Noble Act. You and I have talked about that many times, but how do we assist others around the state that maybe don't have programs in place like that, or have funding challenges that different communities have. So we're going to continue to push on it, and everyone that's tuning in here today are helping support that. So again, we're going to get started here shortly, but before we get started with some square breathing, I want to remind you, if you're tuning in live or if you're tuning in later, feel free to put any questions in the chat, or a simple hello is fine too. We want to get those answered for you. We'd love your feedback. If we can't answer them today, we'll find people that can help you. So please, this is an interactive conversation here this morning. But before we have any of those conversations, we always focus on some square breathing, and I'm going to let Kristen walk us through that exercise.
We're going to do square breathing for the purpose of tending to our nervous systems. We go throughout the day, we're hustle bustle, we're stressed, we're overwhelmed, we have a lot on our plates, but we don't think about how do I tend to my nervous system, because the nervous system dictates how your day is going to go. Pretty much. It's the whole driving system to regulation and feeling more centered, clear, compassionate, calm, all the C's that we want in our lives. We call them the 7 C's. And that leads us to connection. Connection with ourselves leads us connection with others. So we're going to take 2 breaths today and really work on focusing on your nervous system. We start with our feet on the floor so we can ground into this present moment. We're not in the past, we're not in the future, we're right here, right now. And we're going to inhale through our nose. This is very important because what that does is it calms our nervous system rather than creates energy in the body. So if you're doing maybe a workout, you would do a different breathing technique. This is to come back into calm, regulated nervous system. So we're going to inhale through our nose for 4. We're going to actually hold the breath and then slowly release out our mouths for 8. This is key. And when people come into my office, they're like, and I'm like, well, we're not really getting the full benefit of that inhale. So the inhale makes a big difference on really coming down to that regulated self. So we're going to inhale. We're going to do 2 breaths together. Inhale through your nose. And we're going to hold. And then we're going to slowly exhale out our mouths. We'll do one more breath. This is the key. I was doing a speaking engagement to IMPD, and I said, if your shoulders don't come up and come down, you haven't gotten a full benefit of that breath. So let's do it one more time. Big inhale, and then slow exhale. I recommend keeping going through the day. So 2 breaths mostly is not enough to kind of keep you regulated throughout the day. So just every hour, check in with your breath. So when you are activated by something, you have the tools in your toolkit to get back to calm and less activated in your nervous system.
Kristen, can you touch on, I always think about that 8 count release is really, really important. And as a way, I visualize like anything I'm holding in my head right now, I need to dump it out. So can you talk about the importance of getting all that air out?
Yeah. So let's talk about the brain and the body. So we kind of have our little. We did this before, but the brain, and this is really important. So this is our nerve. This is our. Let's just think of if you're looking at our front of our skull. Okay, we have what's called the prefrontal cortex. That helps us kind of gain rational thought. What that exhale does is it takes us out of fight, flight, freeze, fawn, which is like people pleasing, like, I'm so sorry. Are you mad at me? Do you like me? And flop into the prefrontal cortex. So the more exhale you get on that out breath, it's taking you to the we call parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calm state that we're trying to access, rather than an autonomic nervous system, meaning you're just kind of going through life and you're kind of disconnected, dissociative. And when we do that, because if we don't access that full breath on that exhale, a lot of times we're flipping our lids on things. We're just getting triggered by everything. And that exhale, that long 8 count exhale, helps you get from flipped to calm. So then you can access rational thought. You can go, oh, I can handle this. It increases our window of tolerance to handle stress. That's what that out breath does, is it comes back to that parasympathetic nervous system. So we're not operating at a fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Like we're not in that, I gotta hustle. We're like, I can handle this. I can think through this. I can come back to calm. That's what that out breath does for us.
And I think part of this conversation that we've had over the last couple of years is understanding that we are literally in just a different mental state. That this isn't just some feeling, that this is actually very much brain technology that we have in our body. And we're trying to work within the technology that we have in our head to get to the best position. So I think that's one of the greatest things that we're all realizing, that this isn't just some flippant conversation. This is truly scientific data showing us how to get to be better decision makers and feel better.
And
And
we
that's
all, and that is such a key point you're making, because we have so much research now. We
Mhm,
have decades and decades of research that says, oh, the breath was designed
mhm,
to help us come back to the center, so we don't have to be flipped all day. We don't have to be like, oh, I'm activated, I'm triggered, I'm reactive to everything. So you'll see we live in a very reactive place a lot of times. We want to respond and not react. So we want to be thoughtful, we want to be mindful. But if we are flipped, we aren't going to be. We're going to just say what comes out of our mouths. We are not going to feel like we are clear in our thinking. We are not regulated. It's hard for people to hear us when we're not regulated.
mhm.
And we all can get like this. So I don't want to pretend like, oh, I never flip my lid. I do. And it's important we recognize when we're starting to flip and we're becoming dysregulated or intense or reactive or defensive, because this is a defensive place. Okay, when we're trying to protect ourselves from blame, shame, guilt, hurt, we're not in our prefrontal cortex. We're in a protective state, that fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flop state. We want to be in a place where we have clarity, where we have calm. That's where connection can take place at its deepest place, and we can feel more heard, seen, and understood. That's the goal.
Yeah, and I want to dive down. Eventually, I would like to talk to you a little bit about it, because even in the 6 years that we've been having this conversation, so much more research has been done, data has been done. You've seen more trends in your private practice every day. So I want to talk about that here in a few minutes. But I want to stay on the topic you were mentioning about the fight, freeze, fawn, and flop, and talk a little bit about, for anyone maybe first time listening, or kind of into the mental health space, what does if I'm wondering, like, hey, what does that feel like? What is, I might have some instances in my head I know where I'm flipped, but can we talk a little bit about the symptoms you might feel in yourself in moments of stress? I mean, obviously, I think heart rate, I think
Heart rate goes.
shoulders up, I think those type of things. But you want to talk a little bit about the signs and symptoms you as an individual can take account for in this conversation.
Here's the key is one of the things that we can do is disconnect from our bodies, and then we're just in automatic responses. So first thing is we kind of got to notice and get curious about our body responses. So I will often ask clients, where do you feel that in your body? And they're like, I don't know. We have these protective states that we just identified. Call them fight, all the 5 F's, okay? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and flop. We learned this a long time ago to protect ourselves. So we typically will have one or two of these that we go to. So let's break down fight. Fight, you're going to have more of an adrenaline rush or rapid heartbeat. You might have a tensing in your jaw or your face. You might be squinting. You might be kind of tensing up or tightening your face. You might get a furrowed brow. You might feel like I am ready to just go, and it's like the lion in the den. The lion's coming and we're going to attack that lion to protect ourselves again from shame, blame, hurt, rejection, abandonment. We learned this a long time ago that we got to fight for ourselves. So the fight response is going to be more of a flooding into the nervous system. Freeze is where everything kind of gets locked in and shut down. Okay, we are immobilized. It's like, if I just don't aggravate this person, if I just don't make this person mad, I want to diffuse their reactions. So it's an automatic response. Freeze. Think of like a deer in headlights. Okay, they freeze because they don't want to get killed. So this is kind of what we do. This is we learn to just don't rock the boat, don't make anyone mad. And what happens is we go into, again, a dissociative response. We're not embodied in our body. So we might not feel a lot. We might have a shortness of breath. We might have our throat feel like it's closing up. We might feel like our body is just, we're here, but we're not here. If you've ever driven through like a stop sign, or like you've like, did I stop at that stop sign? We're disembodied. We're not in our bodies. And so that's what freeze can feel like. Fawn is like an adrenaline as well, because we're trying to make sure we want to make this person like us. We want to make this person feel okay with us. So we're like, I'm so sorry. We might be hyper, we might be perfectionistic. We might apologize. We might feed a bunch of compliments. So I might have this like more intensity in my body. With fight and fawn, we're going to have more of an intensity. Flee is like, get me out of here. I'm going to go into another room. I want to get out of this space. I cannot be in this space. So we get up, we want to mobilize. We want to get up and move. So our body wants to mobilize us and get out of that situation, get out of that interaction, get out of that space. So it might look like shutdown. It might look like I'm withdrawing from this. And so our bodies will go into more of a mobilized experience. So a rapid breath, because you want to move, you want to get up. You might want to feel you're flooding through your body. It's like, I need to get out of here right now. Kind of think of a running, like you want to run away. That's what your body might feel like on the inside. Flop is a faint or flop, where you just kind of, if you've ever been shocked by something, people will have an experience where they might go into a hospital and they might see somebody in the bed and they might keel over. We say just kind of faint on the spot. That's a flooded nervous system, a completely flooded nervous system. So it might feel like, ooh, I'm feeling lightheaded. I'm feeling like I'm like my throat is dry. I'm feeling like I might go down. That's a flop response. So the body and everybody is a little bit different. It's now getting curious about how your body responds to a trigger. If someone says something and you feel like you're going to flip your lid, you've got to start going, okay, where am I feeling this in my body? What am I feeling? And that's our first sign to start breathing. That's normally what people don't do. They just keep going into those fight, flight, freeze, flop, or fawn responses. They don't get curious to start getting that prefrontal cortex back online to get calm.
Now, question on that: is there a tendency for individuals to have kind of one reaction over another? I mean,
Yes. You
so
have
can I ask you, like, what would be Kristen Boyce's reaction to being triggered?
Typically it might be like a fight response because I want to talk about it. And like, let's get it out. So it doesn't look like I'm a fighter. It looks like I want to talk about it. I want to get it on the table. I want to resolve it. I want to repair it. That can come across as intense at times. It can come across like, can you just let this lie? And I'm like, but if we just get this out, we just get. Now another person's fight response might be more like, I'm going to argue. I'm going to yell and scream. Mine's not that. Mine is moving towards it where other people want to move away from it. So kind of think about it in that frame of mind.
Yeah, and
So
I will say mine is the exact same way as you. I am a resolver of this, and I can tell you that has been very at times a challenge. My marriage, for example, my wife is not a
Mhm.
fighter when it comes to that. I want to solve it. I want to debate it. I want to address it. She does not want to do that at that moment. So you have to kind of figure out how to balance that. But mine is the same way.
Yeah. And then sometimes you'll go into, oh, I'm a fawner. That might be one of my other ones. Like, oh, I might try to connect in a way of people pleasing. And so that's another one that that might be my default. So it's really going where is your, like, where do you typically fall? And people will have one or two. Usually someone that's going to be a withdrawer, they're going to be a fleer or a freezer. So that might be there too, or a fawner. So you're going to look at get curious, where do I tend to go and how do I function in different relationships? And then how do I work through that to go back into maybe pausing, slowing things down by the breath. And it might be creating more space for what might be in front of you so you can get back to, meaning me, like I can get back to into my window of tolerance, meaning I can handle whatever's there without going into fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flop.
Yeah. No, I love that because I think that's always interesting to kind of diagnose yourself a little bit about how you handle some of those triggering factors there. So
Self-awareness is so empowering when you
yeah,
can get curious about it. And
yeah.
then in your relationships, you'll see if you have two fighters, that obviously is going to be pretty volatile.
Mhm.
So if they're in my office with two fighters, we have to do some work on ourselves so we can get back to this regulated state.
Yeah. So I mentioned it earlier. I wanted to kind of pivot to you a little bit to give a moment to kind of talk a little bit about kind of what you're seeing. I mean, you're every day boots on the ground, running your practice. What are you seeing more of these days around the mental health space? And then I guess what kind of research are you maybe most excited about, or that has kind of changed your trajectory or how you're handling these conversations in your office?
What we're seeing now is a lot of relational issues. So we have seen that, but I think there's a definite increase in relationship disconnection than I've seen more so. I think also with teens, what I'm seeing is the device for all of us has become an addiction of sorts. It's a way to quote unquote escape. So what I'm seeing is not having relationships tools and skills to work through conflict. I really think that is the number one thing I'm seeing is relationship conflict and not being able to have the tools, the resources, and the strategies in order to face disagreements and how to work through them. I see a lot of hiding behaviors. So we'll see a lot of addictions in pornography, sex addictions. We're seeing obviously internet, social media, substances, because that disconnects us not only from ourselves but also from relationships. And so we're seeing a lot of anxiety. Still, anxiety is at an all-time high, I think. We also see depression. That's the flip side. So if you think about anxiety, think about we're thinking about the future, we're thinking about all the bad things that can happen. We have looping thoughts, like just worrying a lot, worrying and stressing over things, where depression is kind of more of a flat affect. We're suppressing. Think about suppression as depression. And so if we're not able to process what's going on, it's going to linger. That's why I'm trying to teach families that it's so important to process what is happening feeling wise and what is keeping people up at night. Like asking people, what's worrying you? What's keeping you up at night? What is kind of the thing that you worry about the most? And that's an important discussion to have, not only with yourself, but with each other. That's what I'm seeing. The other piece that I'm seeing that's new is how to cope with things. There's a new strategy that I've been working with clients, and anybody can do this and download this for free. And we are seeing really, because of the neuroscience behind it, a lot of relief for clients. And I recommend people download what's called bilateral music. Okay. And what that is we're working with the right and left hemispheres of the brain. Okay, this is super easy to do. I recommend people do it 5 to 10 minutes a day. You're not like meditating. You can be typing. You can be doing laundry. You can be mowing the lawn. You can be cooking dinner. You have to have your earbuds in. And what it's doing is it's working with your nervous system. So it's working with right and left hemispheres of the brain. So you'll hear the music in the right ear, you'll hear the music in your left ear. And think about being rocked. It's basically helping, like when you're an infant, you're completely dependent on your parent for your survival. And we are meant to be rocked and we're meant to be held and we're meant to be co-regulated. Well, many of our parents didn't have the resources or time or knowledge about that. This we can do for ourselves. We're not dependent on another person to offer it to us. So what you do is you put the music in. Again, there's hundreds of options. You can go on YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. YouTube's often free. And you can download the bilateral music, and you're going to watch how your nervous system starts kind of calming down, but it comes into regulation, and then you can handle the stress that comes up. I have a client I worked with for years, and she's like, it's the bilateral music. I can now not freak out if something happens and feel so overwhelmed and shut down and feel like I can't handle it. I can go, okay, I got this. And she's like, I've been doing the music 5 to 10 minutes a day. And I think it's the music. I know it seems very subtle, but it's one thing we haven't talked about that neuroscience backs up. So bilateral music. I'm telling you, try it and then let us know how you do.
I'm excited to download some of this on the way home. Actually, I've not tried bilateral music before, but I'm going to do it. I have found that music does calm me down, certain types as well. So I'm looking forward to it. But I think it's important to keep talking about new discoveries and new ideas, especially when it comes to a free resource, right? That the community can use. We talked about the breath, that's free. Bilateral music, that's free. We talk about moving to get anxiety out of the body. You want to touch on that for a second?
Yeah. And I think that with movement, here's what we're learning. If we do not move things up and out of the body, they will live in the nervous system. They will live and grow and keep you frozen. So people are like, I feel stuck, probably because there's so much happening in your body. Movement helps move it up and out. What we suppress and repress has to come out in a healthy way. Otherwise, it's going to manifest itself in ways you don't want: anxiety, depression, PTSD. And what we didn't learn as kids is that is what is necessary to come back into health. So whether you're walking is also bilateral music. I'll have people in therapy sessions and they use their what are they called, the walking pads.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with it because they are walking and co-regulating. Walking is using bilateral music, like bilateral music. You're regulating yourself. That's why movement can be so powerful. So we don't have that tension or tightness in the body. We are actually not pushing, but welcoming that up and out of the body. So walking is a fantastic one to regulate the nervous system and move yourself from stuck and tense to feeling more unstuck. And you'll feel more regulated after you do it. You'll go, oh, I just feel a little better. Is it a miracle cure? No. Will it help regulate you? Yes. That's what the music can do too.
Well, that's what I keep thinking about. The person that you picture that is depressed or have anxiety, and they're just laying in bed all day, right? And that's where that picture of that. Sometimes it's hard, but to get yourself up and move, whether it be to walk a little bit or do something stationary to move your body, does help move that anxiety out of the body. That's one of the things I've taken away most from you over the past 6 years is that movement to move that anxiety or those feelings out of the body.
Yeah, and if you do what you physically are capable of doing, and once you do that, I want you to check in with your body, get curious. What am I feeling before? What am I feeling after? And just notice the subtleties, because it will be subtle of what you feel different, what feels different to you when you move and when you don't move. And when we don't move, what happens is you'll notice I'm just stuck in my thoughts. Have you ever had that where you're just like, I am just looping and I can't get out of the loop? Have you had that
Well,
before?
so you may know I was in Japan for a week, just about a week ago, and when we got back, jet lag hit me like I've never been hit before, and I was awake at 1:27 in the morning. I laid there till 3 in the morning, just thinking about how mad I am of laying there
Yeah.
and doing nothing. So then I finally got up at 3, dusted the entire house, made beef stroganoff. It was a whole thing, but I needed to get up and do something because I was just stuck in my thoughts, and there was no way I was going back to bed.
Yeah, because you're just going, well, now I only get so
Yeah.
many hours of sleep, and now I
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, and so you getting up and moving shifted the thinking.
Yes, yes. Again, totally different scenario with the jet lag piece, but again, laying there thinking of your thoughts is not going to drive home any change for you. I needed to get up and I needed to move and do something that I could say I checked off the list at least.
Yeah, and the bilateral music can help with that. So if someone's like, "I cannot get out of my head,"
Yeah.
you have to pick music that you feel more regulated with, and I say they come with like 8 songs on an album or 12 songs on an album, or you can just do 1 song that you know will regulate your nervous system, skip the ones that don't. We don't want the ones that are activating it. We want the ones that are calming it, and I say at night, use it. If you're like, I cannot sleep, try the bilateral music for 5 minutes. This is the other thing at night. Where have you heard of the butterfly hug? Where
Mm-mm.
you're tapping, you're crossing your arms over, okay, and you're tapping right, left. You're not going fast. You're not doing this, okay. You're doing calm taps, right, left, right, left, and this also helps. It's bilateral. Again, we're using neuroscience to help calm and regulate the nervous system by providing that rocking sensation. You're not rocking. Rocking is also very, very helpful. But you can lay in bed and do this. Or let's say you have your kid who is super nervous about getting up and speaking in front of a group. This is very helpful to get them more calm out of this disconnected sense of self back into their bodies so they can handle it. This is a great, I used to tap on my girls all the time just to get them to help calm them down. Now they do it. So this is another strategy you can use and model, not only for you, but your grandkids, your kids, and other people. You could go, okay, have you tried? Now, if someone's doing this, you're going to activate your nervous system. You want to go slow, tap slow. And the tapping also is using sensory part of your nervous system. So that like just like you're hearing music, that also, and you can your kids can also use bilateral music. So let's say they're off in college and they have a stressful presentation they have to do or a sporting event. If you've got athletes in your family or you have performers in your family, put the bilateral music on before they have a game, before they have something coming up, so they can be clear and centered and regulated and think on their feet more clearly than they would if they're in an anxious state.
Yeah, and I love that. And I think today we focused so much about yourself, right? And that was really important. And we only have a couple minutes here left because I was going to pivot to identifying in others, but I'm not sure we'll be able to get to that. We can put a pin in that until next month or this summer sometime. But I want to stay with the self, and knowing that how to identify your own emotions and how to handle that. So let's talk a little bit about when you transition. Okay, you've identified that maybe you do have some challenges. What would be some logical next steps for individuals to take on a mental health journey that might it's going to better them going forward?
Well, we know I love therapy. So that,
Mhm.
that of course, is my number one recommendation. Second recommendation is journaling. So you have to start. So, I'm a big research backs this up. The people that journal are going to heal faster than those that don't. I love a support system. So, I'm big into support systems. So maybe a 12-step program, a grief recovery group or grief share group, a recovery group, something where you have support that are also people on this journey. You will speak the similar language, you'll talk the talk. Please get into a support system that's helpful for you. Don't try to do this alone because you will find that you'll feel less shame. You'll feel less guilt because you're like, or fear. They're working through it with you. So those are my top suggestions. There's tons of free podcasts out there. Listen to those, get books, start diving into the subjects. If you have anxiety, you have PTSD, you have trauma, start diving in and educating yourself about that so you feel more empowered to handle it.
It's awesome. And then obviously, I will end on this kind of note here. If you are in a crisis state, which is very possible, right? And if you are in crisis mode or you're with someone is in a crisis state, that instant resource is
988. It's the 911 for mental health. It's we are seeing the numbers come out now. This has helped decrease suicide in our country. And I don't have the exact numbers, but it's working because they're trained clinicians on the other line. So if someone's saying they feel like a burden, they feel like they don't know if they want to be here anymore, that's real. 988 can help walk you through or the other person through how to handle that. They can text or call if someone doesn't want to be on the phone 24/7. Please use it. Don't try to do this alone. And if you are having those thoughts, you matter, you're important, and you are worth it, even though shame wants to tell you a different story. Just know there is help on the other end, and those thoughts can take over, and they can help you with whatever you're feeling. Call 988, text 9888.
I think it's the perfect way to end this today, too. Again, thank you for Kristen for all you do to help us elevate this conversation, the work that we have done and we're going to continue to do in this space. But certainly in May, with it being Mental Health Awareness Month, this is a very important conversation to get back to basics. Even I learned something new today. We're going to download some bilateral music going forward. So thank you, Kristen Boice, for all that you do to serve our community. And we will look forward to seeing everybody back here next month for another edition of Mental Health Monday. Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.